Hello and welcome to Crucible of Words for some legacy action. Today we're showcasing a new card from Avatar: The Last Airbender. That new card is Storm of Memories. This is a card that I think is pretty good. It's a 5 mana, exile an instant or sorcery card with mana value 3 or less from your graveyard at random. You may cast it without paying its mana cost, and then it gets exiled if it would be put into a graveyard. But this has Storm. So basically what we have here is Past in Flames that can't be countered because of Storm, and instead of having to pay for all your spells, you get them for free. So that's what we're trying to leverage here. I haven't seen any deck lists running this yet, so I've had to build it myself, which is not ideal because I'm not really a Storm person, but we're throwing it into the Ruby Storm shell. So the game plan of cost reducers like Ruby Medallion and Monsoon Mage making our rituals really good, like Desperate Ritual, Seething Song, and then we also have Manamorphose becoming a ritual and a draw spell. Then we have Reckless Impulse and Wrenn Resolve as our main draw engines to just keep digging into our deck, just keep getting more resources. Jeska's Will can be either, it can be mana or it can be cards. Now we don't always get to choose if it's mana if our opponent doesn't have that many cards in hand. But that's mainly what we're trying to do here, and we're trying to build up a load of mana, build up a load of Storm, and then we're going to cast Burning Wish or Wish, and then cast a win condition from the sideboard, and we'll go through those in a minute. I've made a few changes to like stock Ruby Storm lists, obviously, because we have to fit this in, and I want to leverage this a bit more, so I've gone up to 2 wishes, because Burning Wish exiles when it finishes resolving, but Wish doesn't. So if we wish, when we Storm of Memories, we get another wish for free. It might just be right to run 4 wishes and 1 Burning Wish, but normally a Ruby Storm deck would have 4 Burning Wish and 1 regular wish. But I wanted to try something like this out and see how it fared. I think there's probably going to be a lot more wiggle room in building upon this, but I think this card is so powerful that I want to try and leverage it. Another card you might not have seen here is Firebrain Scheme. There is a official Spider-Man version of this, which I don't remember the name of. But basically it's 1 mana, exile top 2 cards of our library. Until the end of our next turn, we can cast one of them, and then it has another mode that we're not going to use. We've got ourselves some Ancient Tombs and then just a bunch of mountains to power these spells out. And that's pretty much it. Sideboard-wise, we've got Blast Zone as our way of trying to answer things our opponent may have. We've got some Null Rods for opposing like combo-y decks like Mystic Forge and other Storm decks, whatever. And then we basically just have like a really big wish board. So bonus round is a classic piece of technology where you just get to double up on all your spells. We're kind of hoping that Storm of Memories can do a similar job anyway, but we can cast this to double up on our spells, and then when we Storm of Memories, we cast a bonus round again, and then double up our spells again. And then we can cast things like Fiery Confluence for huge amounts of damage. We've got Grape Shot in there to win the game. Some of these builds run Empty the Warrens. I really don't like Empty the Warrens in a Tamiyo saturated format, because let's say we cast Empty the Warrens, but our opponent has a Tamiyo emblem. Well, you might not be able to actually win the game with them. So we do have this card, Alchemist Gambit. This is how we beat the One Ring. So we take an extra turn. During that turn, damage can't be prevented, and we lose the game at the end of that. We can get blue mana off of our Manamorphose to cast the version where we don't lose the game at the end of the turn. It's just like a nice little time walk, but most of the time we're going to make a huge board of stuff, which some people will go for Empty the Warrens. I'm personally going for Elemental Eruption, because this doesn't just lose to a Tamiyo emblem. So we have this, and then we cast Alchemist Gambit, and then we get to attack, so we can attack through the One Ring or Tamiyo with this little combination. We've got a Rite of Flame in the sideboard. We've got the Grape Shot as well. Will of the Jeska, you might not know this one. Each player may discard their hand and draw 5, or I can give all the instant sorcery in my graveyard flashback. I'm not sure if we need this. Maybe this should be Inspired Tinkering, actually. Yeah, I'm going to get rid of this and turn it into Inspired Tinkering. Right, so we have an Inspired Tinkering now. This allows us to exile top 3, and then we get some treasure tokens. So this can sometimes make us mana as well. We've got a Storm of Memories that we can reach for in the sideboard, a Shadow Skull Smashing, which can kill some stuff, as well as just be a land if we need it. And this one you might not be aware of. Embrace the Unknown is something I wanted to try out. So it's 3 mana, sorcery, exile a top 2 cards of your library until the end of your next turn. You may cast those cards. So it's like Wrenn's Resolve, except it costs 3. But sometimes it will only cost 1 with our cost reducers, but then it has Retrace. So if we get a little bit flooded with lands, we can then use those lands and turn them into real cards using the Embrace the Unknown. I'm not sure how good this is going to be, but I want to try it out. I haven't really seen it in lists, and there's probably a reason for that. Like I said, I'm not a Storm aficionado, but here we are. So, remember to like and subscribe before we get stuck in. Become a Patreon member, please, or a YouTube member. They all help. And let's see if I can play some Ruby Storm without embarrassing myself. Let's get started. For free, fast, and secure worldwide shipping on high-end singles, classic products, and full sets, check out 3for1 Trading. Whether it's the legacy or pre-modern that I play on this channel, or even vintage and old school, they've got you covered. Find them through the link in the description of this video and use my code COW3 for free worldwide shipping on your first order over $500 or euros. This is a lot of lands. Some might even say too many lands. I think we can do a little bit better. Alright. This is too many Rals, but that's not a bad problem to have because this card slaps pretty hard. Keep bottom of Ral. Our hand is not the fastest. Are we going to get Thought Seized? Looks like it. Oh, we're getting Duressed. That probably means our opponent's playing a combo deck of some description. You tend not to see Duress outside of combo decks that really need to make sure certain things aren't in your opponent's hand. I imagine they probably take the Seething Song here. The Seething Song is just more mana. This goes +2. This is only +1. If our opponent is doing combo-y stuff, they might go underneath us. So the thing about Ruby Storm in general is it's a little bit slower than some of the combo decks. Not by much, but it's a little bit slower. But it's a lot more resilient, which is kind of one of the reasons to play it. I went to Desperate Ritual. This might be playing around us drawing a Lotus Petal or something, or a Rite of Flame. Obviously, we don't have Lotus Petals, but our opponent doesn't know that. Ponder. Feels a little bit like, I don't know, I want to say Ad Nauseam Tendrils, maybe? The Duress and the Ponders kind of give me that vibe. Could be a Doomsday deck running an additional Duress. Doomsday can basically run whatever it wants, really. Here is a Mountain. Here is a Monsoon Sage. Our next turn has to be pretty good. We also have to get another turn, which might be the more difficult part of this transaction. Are they going to go get Surveil Land at end step? So they want to keep the cards with Ponder. So you need to get Storm 6 before you flip the Ral to make sure that you can minus and get the Mind's Desire effect off of him. If our opponent casts a Doomsday and passes, I'm maybe okay with that, but that means they're probably going to be a counterspell deck. Doomsday has been doing very well since the bannings. Sort of got a new lease of life. It was kind of struggling a little bit beforehand. It was just wasn't able to contend with like the blue-black reanimator stuff, really. Our opponents assembled their pile and they're immediately getting stuck into it with an Edge of Autumn. So I suspect we die here. It's going to be maybe Lion's Eye Diamond. They crack the Lion's Eye Diamond in response to a Street Wraith. That gives them the mana for a Consider that they draw off the top, which then gets rid of another card and puts a Thassa's Oracle on the stack. I don't really think we're going to have a lot to be able to win this matchup. This is certainly one of the weaknesses of the mono-red Storm deck. There are a lot of combos that can go underneath us. There is the Oracle. Legacy might be too unfair for our slightly less unfair Storm deck to really get going. Do any of these things help us realistically? So the things that we generally want to be boarding in matchups are these two cards. Do we want Null Rods? It can stop Lion's Eye Diamond lines, which maybe buys us a turn. But the cost of doing that is losing one of our pieces. Our deck is designed to do the thing it's supposed to do. I think we just have to submit and hope that being on the draw is enough. Our opponent knows they can send relatively well here. But we can get faster hands. Triple Burning Wish probably isn't a good place for us to start here, is it? I think we need to mulligan. We need like a cost reducer, ideally. We have a cost reducer. We don't have a way of getting into play. What is our land count? 16 lands. +3 Rite of Flames gets this started as well. Can I keep this? Like, we're just completely beholden to drawing a land off the top. I don't like being in that situation. Alright, this is the best we've had so far. We obviously keep this. We probably just get rid of a Mountain. And then do we get rid of Rite of Flame? That can't be right. I guess it has to be, though. Okay. Go, Gadget, Ruby Medallion. Our opponent kept 7, so I think our chances here are relatively slim. If they Thought Seize and take our Reckless Impulse, we're on a multi 5 already. It's just going to be just compounding things, getting worse and worse for us. That's Black Mana in the pool. Oh, Dark Ritual. They might just kill us on turn 1. If they pass the turn, maybe we're okay here. We could get lucky with what we have in hand. I Rite of Flame into Reckless Impulse. They have made a pile. Do they have any sort of juke that might be interesting to look at? No. Can I see a Lion's Eye Diamond in here? If the answer is no, then we are dead. There is a Lions of Diamond in there, so we might get a turn here. Unless they have Lotus Pearl. We get a turn. We have to just send it and hope for the best. They could just counterspell the very first thing we do. And then we never get to go anywhere. Because we need this to resolve to get red mana. Let's cast this Reckless Impulse. We've got a Force of Will over there. Okay, let's Reckless Impulse again. We don't really have any more mana though. We can play these until the end of our next turn. Double Force of Will. Are they going for a slow pile here? I'm not really sure what we're supposed to do about turn 1 Doomsday with double Force of Will backup, regardless of what deck we're playing, to be perfectly frank. That is a lot of nonsense. Colourless mana off the Cavern. No? Okay, we get a turn, but we have to hit like something like a Reckless Impulse. This isn't good enough. Are they just going to slowly draw for their pile, or are we dead this turn? True Wraith being cycled. They're at 5 life. Thassa's Oracle is lethal right now. They could just have a pile full of Thassa's Oracles. Right, they're cycling. And then we're very, very dead. This is certainly one of the reasons you don't see a lot of Ruby Storm. There's not enough of the fair decks that Ruby Storm can prey upon in the meta. Or at least there hasn't been for a while. I'm kind of hoping things might shift with the recent bannings. But this was not a great matchup. Let's go to round number 2. I'm going to mulligan this. Okay. We can work with this one. The Ancient Tomb feels like a real double-edged sword in this deck. We can put back one of the Rowls. Can lead off on Ruby Medallion. Being able to cast turn 1 Ruby Medallion is great. But not having red pips for subsequent turns is a little bit awkward. An island. And a Tamiyo. I think our deck is relatively good against Tamiyo. For the most part. I would like to cast a Desperate Ritual, please. Okay, that resolved. That's exciting. Let's go for a Wrenn's Resolve first. I'd like to try and dig into our deck a little bit more. Let's cast another Reckless Impulse. Manamorphose. This makes us mana. I would like some red mana, please. Firebrain Scheme. So we've cast 1, 2, 3, 4 spells. Let's go for a Row. Let's try and get some mana with this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So we don't want to flip if we win the flip. Although Stormcount is 6. Because we cast the Ral as well. So if we flip... Let me just check this. Enters with an additional loyalty for each instant and sorcery spell you cast this turn. So we do need one more. Because it's not all Storm. We will not flip it. We have to flip on the next one. Okay, that just worked. So now flipping this guy is something that we're interested in doing. We should be able to win this one. So the ultimate of this card is exile the top 8 cards of your library. You can cast instants and sorceries for free. Let's go for a free Seething Song, please. Let's go for a Firebrain Scheme. Let's have a look at the top 2 cards of our library here. I'll take this Seething Song, please. I'll cast this Seething Song. I will cast a Burning Wish. We can probably just win the game here, couldn't we? But we're going to put Storm of Memories into play. Because that's something I want to be doing today. Okay, we get to cast a card from over here. So we can go bonus round. We can cast Storm of Memories. So we get to cast our entire graveyard again here. This is a great turn. Obviously. We have to make sure we don't deck. I'm just going to add a bunch more mana. Just make sure that we can definitely cast all of our spells here. Right, our Jeska's Wills have resolved. Now we get to Desperate Ritual for free. And we get a bunch of copies. Maybe we didn't even need that mana. We could have just... You could play just like Banefire in the sideboard at this point. Seething Song. We didn't really need all that mana from that Jeska's Will. But I didn't want to deck either with all these other Wrenn's Resolves and stuff going on. I'll cast this Wish. So we can pretty much just cast our entire sideboard. We get some blue mana here. So we can cast the spell with Cleave. Lots of bonus round action. We are going to play our entire deck. This Storm of Memories card seems pretty good. There's a whole stack of things we get to play here as well. So we can play these cards out so that we have a chance of hitting them with the Storm of Memories. That's why we've got slightly more instants in the deck than you would normally expect. We are going to play our entire deck this game. And we can cast this Desperate Ritual. This means the Storm of Memories is going to hit the Desperate Ritual. We're going to have well over 100 mana here. Probably can get up to some pretty disgusting amounts of mana in the very near future if we want to. The secret here is to not cast one of these Manamorphose. That would be an error. We are going to go for like the biggest, coolest line that we can do here. Because we want to show off how busted this card is. Right, so we're doing the Seething Song and then we get to finish up. And now this is our sideboard. So we can go and we can cast this, where is it? Elemental Eruption, cast this. We're going to have a lot of guys. So now we cast our Alchemist Gambit with Cleave. So we're going to get 2 extra turns here. Have I broken Magic Online? Might as well Grape Shot them as well. There's a lot of triggers. Okay. So obviously taking the extra turn doesn't mean we get to attack with these because we would die. But we just show what our deck can do. Which was what I really wanted to showcase. A lot of clicking for me. And it took a lot of time off of our clock. But that was pretty cool. Alright. We played our entire deck on turn 2. We saw Island into Tamiyo. I guess we want some Blast Stones. Maybe take out a couple of Ancient Tombs. Let's try something like that. Don't really mess around with the rest of our graveyard very much. Oh, sorry, sideboard, not graveyard. I think we have to mulligan this one. We need a second land or something. Okay, we can keep this one. What are we putting back? Maybe it's the Burning Wish? Is that... No, it's probably not the Burning Wish, is it? Maybe it's just the Blast Zone and we say, let's hope they don't have anything too spooky. Like, what are they going to have? They're going to just Damping Sphere us and kill us, maybe. This is until the end of your next turn. All right. Let's cast Red Ponder. It's kind of what it is. It's like Red Sleight of Hand, actually. But I've played this once before on the channel, and it was very okay. I'll take this Burning Wish for next turn. We could just cast the Burning Wish next turn. We don't have to go Seething Song and try and combo our opponent out. Because they're likely to have some interaction for various pinch points along the way. We could just cast the Burning Wish, assume they're going to be playing a slower game, and just bank the card from the Wish. What do we even get at that point? Another Rite of Flame, a bonus round. Bonus round is pretty cool. Let's see what we draw, and then maybe we can decide if we need to go or whatever. We could just get the Storm of Memories. That card seems real good. Oh, we just drew one anyway, did we? Okay, let's cast a Seething Song, shall we? They can just counterspell this, and it just cuts us off. But they might try and go for the Wish because they've seen it. They know that this is here. And they might just go, okay, we're going to hit this Wish. And that's going to be the pinch point. And then we just storm them out. And then they have a bad time. Just going to be a Blue Blast or a Brainstorm. A little bit of a desperate Brainstorm, maybe? We don't know. Feels like they've got something here, though. Force of Negation. Yeah, so we are punished for not going for this Burning Wish. Maybe we're just getting too greedy. But I thought maybe we could bait our opponent and they'd try and pinch the Wish. But I guess we did show them this card that just wins us the game immediately, pretty much. Tricky. A Reckless Impulse. I'm going to cast a Manamorphose. This converts one of our red pieces into... Sorry, one of our colourless pieces into red. This is surely not good enough to counterspell. Oh, it is good enough to counterspell. Okay. They're going to run out of counterspells at some point, and then we're going to cast Storm of Memories, and they're going to have a horrible time. That's what we're living for right now. I really wanted to dig into our deck and try and find another land drop there. Looks like we're on some sort of Jeska control-y type deck, which should be a thing that we can relatively well eat up. Thundertrap Trainer. What are you going to get with your Thundertrap Trainer? Presumably some sort of counter magic. I don't want to see Consign because that can hit the Storm trigger on Storm of Memories. Another Storm of Memories. Let's cast a Reckless Impulse. We didn't find what we needed here. We do have a Cost Reducer. We can line that up for next turn. I think we should have just gone for the Burning Wish, cast that, and burnt one of our opponent's counterspells on that. The Force of Negation exiling our spells is pretty relevant with playing Storm of Memories. I don't know if they're going to have something like a Rest in Peace that just shuts this card down entirely. But we can still win just doing Cost Reducers and, you know, the normal stuff that Ruby Storm does. They're going after our Manamorphose. This will allow them to see our hand. And it just takes us out of the bin so we don't get to storm it back later. 2 cards left in our opponent's hand. We're going to take a little chip shot here. A Desperate Ritual. I think I will cast the Desperate Ritual first. gives us 4 mana. Yeah, okay, this makes sense. So we resolve this, then we cast the Ral. They can counter this and it stops us from getting these. They've got to be running low of counters at some point, right? Snapcaster Mage. This is going to get them back the Blue Blast, I would imagine. Again, we're missing out on playing these because I'm trying to get greedy. Maybe I'm just playing this game entirely wrong. We're just supposed to play the stuff that we have from Exile and go through our opponent's counters. Like, we don't need to win right now, do we? But I just feel so comfortable with this selection of cards in hand. But losing those cards off that Reckless Impulse, basically doing nothing, that is a little bit awkward. Could come back to bite us, but we're learning here. I have said many times before on this channel, my brain struggles to understand Storm things sometimes. What is in our sideboard that we would like here? We can take both of these guys out if we're worried about our life total. I don't think we are. Then we cast a Burning Wish this turn. We have options. We can go for the Rite of Flame here just to give us more mana and more Storm for next turn. And we get to see 5 cards next turn to find the next piece of the puzzle. Right, I'm going to take this Rite of Flame, pass it over. We're going to take 3 damage here, so our Ancient Tomb is still going to be live. If they flash in another Snapcaster, we can still activate this once. I think we probably should have won this game by now, and I just haven't played this very well. Supposed to just exhaust our opponent's resources with our free cards and then just win with what's left over instead of trying to go for the win a couple of times and getting shut down. I'm kind of worried our opponent's got a big haymaker that's going to wreck us. Just going to be drawing some cards. It is Flame of Anor. It's gassed up quite nicely for them. Just 4 Theolingus to just kill us. Yep, this is 6. This is a lethal damage. Okay. I think we messed that turn up. I think we messed up several turns, actually. Do I like these? I don't really like these Blast Zones that much. But maybe if they have something like a Rest in Peace, we'll want them. Alright, I think we just play better and we win that game. So that one's on me. Sorry, deck, I let you down. Had the big splashy plays, especially after we kind of did everything. My brain was like, oh, we can do that again. I just want some more mana, please. Then we have to mulligan. Okay, we have mana. That's the main thing I'm after here. I don't think I want to be wishing. Not yet, anyway. It's a thing for later. Just play out this. I'm not going to try and jump the Ral into play. Atamier. Just play out our cost reducer. You're going to force this one. It's certainly worth forcing. They might have Hydroblast that can clean it up on their turn. We can do some pretty cool stuff next turn if our opponent lets us. There is a Plains. And they're just passing. Let's start with just a little Manamorphose. See what's going on with our deck. Let's get red mana, please. A Song of Memories. Let's cast a Rite of Flame. Let's cast a Desperate Ritual. I would like to exile some cards with this Jeska's Will, please. Feels like we're going to get undone by a Consigned to Memory. We don't want to flip this yet. Pen this one out. Let's go for a Rite of Flame. We have 6 mana. This only costs us 1 mana. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So if this flips, it will go into the mode we want, right? I have done the correct maths here. Let's minus this Ral. It's a Mind's Desire for 8. This should win us the game. We need to do some clicking along the way. They can consign the Storm to Memories trigger, but we're getting 8 fresh ones off the top. It does mean our Storm of Memories costs more mana now. But I don't believe that's going to be an enormous problem for us if we're going to have 8 fresh cards to look at. We need to keep track of which ones are free and which ones aren't free. So these ones we have to pay mana for, whereas the ones off of Ral are free. Let's cast a free Manamorphose. This one, is this free? That's not free, is it? Let's cast a free Wrenn's Resolve. Free Rite of Flame. Free Jeska's Will. Let's look at the top cards. Can be cast until end of turn. Can be cast until end of turn. Which one is free? This one? This one? No. Okay, they're both costing us mana. Good to know. Is this one free? No, but it's only 1 mana. I'll take this Wrenn's Resolve, please. Cast his Manamorphose. Get red. Oh, we can just Storm of Memories here. This will win us the game. We need to win the game while we still have minutes on the clock. If they counter this, we just cast this other one. We're going to try and leave it so we have cards left in our deck when we're done here, because we don't have to cast them. Because you may cast this. So we basically get to cast our deck here. Here comes Consign to Memory. You got it. We still get one of these Storm Memories. Alright, I will cast this without paying its mana cost. Now I will cast this one from my hand. Rest in pieces, opponent. Our main enemy now is the clock. Manamorphose. We'll get some blue for later. We're going to have all the mana in the world. We're just trying to click through quickly now so we can win the game. Rite of Flame, yes please. This card is bonkers. We just put a Seething Song in so that the Storm of Memories can hit that Seething Song as well. Alright, let's cast this Burning Wish. Just point this Grapeshot our opponent. It's not as exciting as making a bunch of dragons. I think this deck is performing slightly better than I thought it would, in terms of, like, you cast Storm of Memories, you win the game. We put on 30 odd copies of Grapeshot and our opponent dies. Okay, we got that one quite easily. We messed up game 2 and it was still close, I think. So, alright, this feels pretty strong. Let's go to round 3. Round 3. Let's keep this one. We can do Ral into cards and mana. That seems good. But again, our deck is a little bit slow. I could ramp out this Ral now into the very open Swords to Plowshares. I don't think I want to do that. They're probably just going to get Savella instead. This feels like it could be like Yorion Energy or something. But that's a Telegraph Swords to Plowshares if ever I saw one. But a lot of people are trying some weird stuff. It's proper Wild West out there at the moment. This is one of my favourite planes from recent years, actually. Love this one. I love sort of like the Art Deco style. Stoneforge Mystic. Sure. What fresh hell awaits us? Cauldron Complete. Don't care about that. This could just be black-white, death and taxes. Do we risk Thoughtseize? If they had Thoughtseize, they'd Thoughtseize us on turn 1 there, right? We'd like to draw... not really that one. We can play out the Ral, but if it dies, how bad is that for us? We could Rite of Flame, cast Ral, cast Manamorphose, cast Seething Song, keep going. Alright, we're going to try and win the game now. This is what all the cool Storm people do. I'm going to try and emulate them. I don't think there's counterspells over there. So we've got one instant or sorcery that we've cast this turn. Let's go for this Manamorphose. We will not flip this. We'll make some red. Firebrain Scheme. It's not really the one. Oh, I clicked green, did I? Okay. I meant to click red. Don't want to flip you just yet. So we can cast this one first. Alright, I think we're just going to win this game now. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Let's cast this as well. A couple of duds there. Let's go for the Scheme first. Just looking for our little Storm of Memories, please. Wrenn's Resolve, I'll take. Wrenn's Resolve, I'll cast. Reckless Impulse. Sure. We missed the flip again. Desperate Ritual. We could just kill ourselves with Ral if we miss all of our coin flips. Exile some cards here. We're just trying to flip the Ral and then we should be okay. Yes, flip the Ral. Let's get some free spells. Oh yeah, this game is super duper over. So we can cast this for free. And then we start Rite of Flame in. We can cast a Wish here. And we can cast a Storm of Memories. This is very, very game over. As we've all seen, when you cast Storm of Memories, the game ends. This card is pretty busted. Big fan of this. Now, very easy to hate out. You just mess with our graveyard and then it's no good. But Past in Flames that is basically making all your spells free is pretty bananas. I'll just get some more mana here. At this point, it doesn't really matter what we do. This game is deterministically over. Unless our opponent's got random main deck Mindbreak Trap or something very, very bizarre. Yeah, we'll cast another Wish. So we get to cast 2 spells for free. Alright, our opponent's had enough of us messing around. This is a turn 2 kill. Okay. This seems good. This does seem good. I would like some Blast Zones. And I think I would also like some Null Rods for things like the Nile Spellbomb, perhaps. Is that too much? Because we can kind of win ignoring that, though. Maybe we just want these Blast Zones. Let's give that a go. So going down to 3 Burning Wish and 2 Wish means that trying to just get like an answer card in our hand and then deploy it the next turn is harder for our list. We can't keep this one. Let's mulligan. We got some Rowls. We're going to keep this and get rid of an Ancient Tomb. Our opponent's mulligan to 5. Are they going to leyline us? Because we can just ignore that. Our deck isn't actually like a graveyard. Like, it kind of is a graveyard deck when we cast Storm of Memories, but we don't need to cast that to win the game. Maybe we could have boarded one out for something else. Thoughtseize, would you like to take... They probably take the Impulse here. The Jeska's Will sees more cards and has other functionality, though. But they can't deal with... They might have a removal spell, so they can deal with both of our Rowls, effectively. They took 1 Rowl, so they might have another Thoughtseize for the other Rowl, or they might have a removal spell. If they have a removal spell, we can force them to hold it up and not deploy anything to the board, because they don't want to risk us killing them next turn, which we could do from this position, as wild as that may seem. You probably want to get a threat in. I'm just holding some stuff up. We can just play this little game of chicken. Oh, big fan of Ruby Medallion here. Let's get that in. And then I'm going to cast a Wrenn's Resolve. This is going to bank some cards for next turn. A Manamorphose and a Mountain. Love to see it. We will play both of those next turn. Are you going to commit something like an Orcish Bowmasters here? That would be a good way that they could have held up removal whilst also having a threat. Fellier also works. It's the dog. It's a Stoneforge Mystic. Are they tapping out for this? Or are they going to play another land? If they had tapped out here, I think we win the game. Now, Mindbreak Trap is a card that our opponent has access to, potentially. But they are a Yorion deck. How reliably can they actually have that? They did mulligan pretty deep. What did they mulligan for? It had to be something. So the Failure is going to blink out the Stoneforge. That's going to get them another equipment. What equipment do they get anyway? Lion Sash. Okay. Is that what they kept their hand about? This would be a horrible matchup for them, to be fair. So we're going to see the Stoneforge come back. Phantom Blade. You got it, opponent. Here is our Mountain. We begin with Ral, I believe. That gets us a Manamorphose at discount rate. I'll cast a Manamorphose. No, you don't want to flip yet, Ral. You want to flip later. Oh, accidentally click green. That could actually come back to bite me. Just go for this ritual. I probably might think we actually want green mana because I've done that twice now. But I assure you, I do not want that mana. Reckless Impulse. If we lose this because we don't have enough red mana, then that's going to be very annoying. 1, 2, 3, 4. No, this is the third one, actually, isn't it? This is no good. If we wish, it costs us 2 mana. So that's 1 mana from this, 1 mana from this. That leaves us with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Oh no, wish costs us even less, right? We can inspire tinkering here, right? Because we have double cost reducers. We could also just go and Jeska's Will, add some mana here. So he wants to flip all the time, and as soon as we get to the point where we can do all the cool stuff with him, we won't want to flip anymore. So we can cast a card from our sideboard. I'm going to cast, where is it? Storm of Memories. That's what we're here for. Let's get Wrenn's Resolve going. Manamorphose. Jeska's Will. I'm going to exile some cards here, I think. Now we get to flip the Rowl. Our opponent is super dead here. Haven't even looked at what's in the free exile zone yet. Sure, I'll cast this Wish for free. Why shouldn't I have a Desperate Ritual? Okay, let's have a look at our exile zone and what we have here. So let's do the Rowl thing. So we can cast Seething Song. We can do some Desperate Rituals. Rite of Flame. We have Lethal Storm if we want it. We can already cast whatever we want from over here. Let's just Grapeshot our opponent, I guess. This is the quickest way out of this game. And if this doesn't work, we can do other stuff. All right. This deck feels pretty good. I think this Storm of Memories is bananas. This was definitely one of the things I mentioned when I did my little review of cards in the set. I thought this card looked real good. And I've not really seen other people talking about it, but we are steamrolling people here. Let's go to round 4. This is a little bit of a slower hand, but I enjoy having the mana here. Our opponent is well known for playing things like Sneak and Show, if I remember rightly. Lotus Petal, Ancient Tomb. Are we just going to get bopped here? Show and Tell. Ruby Medallion? Atraxa. Don't show me any counterspells, and maybe we get super lucky here. There is a counterspell. We're not immediately dead to this, and when we win, we don't care what our opponent's life total is, because we're going to hit our opponent for like basically infinite. Once we start our snowball rolling, it does go to infinity and beyond if you wish. So we've got Stock Up, Scalding Tarn, Omniscience, Force of Will. That's obviously a lot of stuff to be getting on with, isn't it? We need to just draw bangers. Jeska's Will. Alright, we're going to cast this. Wrenn's Resolve. I'm not expecting this to resolve. It did resolve. Okay. So they're going to try and count us next turn. I thought we might just counter everything and then just stick an Omniscience next turn. Stock up. How many counters have you stocked up with their opponents? So we take 7. Oh, we've still got some more stuff. They're just playing things out so we don't have to discard it. End step. I think we're very dead. Turn 1 Atraxa will do that to you. Another Seething Song in hand. Interesting. Let's play Mountain. Let's cast a Seething Song. So our opponent has anything they want to do about this. Spell Pierce. Very sad. Is it time for them to put the Omniscience in? This might just be the blue card for Force of Will, to be fair. So we have to try and win the game next turn. We know they have a Force of Will. How are we supposed to go about beating that? I think it starts with a Rite of Flame. Okay, that resolved. What about a Seething Song? What about a Jeska's Will exiling some cards? They probably fight over this. Because there is a possibility that our Storm... They don't know that we're running this new Storm spell either. We have to look at some more cards here. You got another counterspell there, opponent? It's game if you do. You counted the last one, so I have to imagine when I counted this one. There it is. Alright. Once again, the blue counterspell combo deck hurts us pretty hard, especially when they go on turn 1. I think a couple more turns and maybe we get there on that one. I don't really think we want anything out of the sideboard here. Null Rod can slow them down a little bit, but they tend to be a bit of a slower combo deck anyway. They just happen to have a really fast hand. Now I think we just go again and we try and beat the blue side of their deck, and if they super wombo combo us, so be it. We're not really kitted out to beat that. Okay, we can keep this one. Storm of Memories is going to hopefully be real big here. Ancient Tomb. Why can't you just tap for double red? That would be really helpful. I'm going to play a Mountain and pass. I don't think they're going to have much removal. I'm not going to try and win the game this time. I'm just going to put the Ral into play. That could be a mistake if our opponent's going to try and combo us next turn. I just don't think casting the Seething Song here is where I want to be. Next turn, we have a lot more that we can try and put on the stack and do. Ooh, a Ponder. That's not them assembling their combo. Well, they could go Ancient Tomb, Lotus Petal, and then there's some egg on my face. But generally speaking, this is a show of we need more time, not you're dead right now. Okay, they're into cleanup steps. And then they use this to shuffle the cards. Okay. Let's go for a Wrenn's Resolve. A Ruby Medallion. Let's cast that one, shall we? Might be worth a counterspell to your opponent. Apparently not. Do we get to do our thing here? They've got to have something pretty banging over there. Really want to cast this Seething Song just yet. Let's go for a Burning Wish. It feels like our opponent has to have something. Right? So we can grab the Rite of Flame here. They might just choose to cut us off here. We don't want to flip it just yet. That's Seething Song. They don't seem to be countering mana, so maybe we're okay here. We cast a Wish. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So if we win this flip, we do want to flip the guy. And now we just cast a Storm of Memories through our opponent's Wall of Permission, cast all these spells again, flip the Ral, get 8 more cards, just keep snowballing. Let's just see, we've got 5 mana. This costs 3 mana, but it could cost 4 mana. I could just Grape Shot our opponent right now, and then Grape Shot again off of this Storm of Memories, and then our opponent dies. That sounds kind of interesting, doesn't it? So this will shoot our opponent for 8, 9, 10. So we have to make sure the first one we hit isn't the Grape Shot. Otherwise, we can't necessarily kill our opponent. So maybe we're not supposed to get the Grape Shot here. It'll be a 1 in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. A 1 in 6 chance to fail if we do that. Is that too much of a risk? We could bonus round for 1 mana. Sorry, for 2 mana. And then we can still cast the Storm of Memories. Bonus round does copy their spells as well. If we cast this bonus round, we just don't flip the Ral yet until we've cast our Storm of Memories. It's Storm time. So I'm happy to flip the Ral now. Somewhere in this chain, the Ral should flip. Right now, in fact. They could try and cut us off of all the rituals. That's going to take a lot of counterspells to do that. They might just be excited to see what's going on because this is obviously a brand new card, seeing what it can actually do. Alright, our opponent's had enough. This card is bananas. Alright. I think our opponent wins this one on the play, but still. I'm pretty happy with how that looked. Yeah, I'll keep this one. We need to find some payoffs, you know, some card draw type effects. But we can maybe force our opponent to counterspell some medallions. Alright, I'm willing to Rite of Flame in a medallion here. It gives us the highest upside of our potential draws, and this is a matchup that is going to go quickly. So we need to put the pressure on. Thundering Falls. Stock up. So we could be getting hit by something real big and scary this turn. Traitors would suggest that's what's happening. Okay, it's not a stock up. I'm going to put in the Ral. They have an Atraxa. How good is this Atraxa going to be? There is a Force of Will. Not one of the ones I wanted to see. What do they take here? It's Ponder, Force of Will, Omniscience, Lotus Petal, and then one of the lands. That's the only thing they get to really choose. I assume they take... Oh, they took a City of Traitors. Playing out the Lotus Petal makes sense. And they go to clean up, or they can cast a Ponder here if they want to. What are they going to discard? A Volcanic Island. Jeska's Will. Our opponent has 7 cards in hand. Play this out. This costs us not a lot of mana. I think it's right. I think we need to draw some cards first. I'm not expecting this to resolve. Oh, it did resolve. Interesting. Let's go for Manamorphose. They could just try and cut off the chain here. I think that's a pretty reasonable thing to do. Yep, Force of Will, pitching Omniscience. It was a risk there. Jeska's Will is one of the ones where you only get to play it that turn. I was expecting them to counter the Jeska's Will, if I'm being perfectly honest with you. A Mountain, that's obviously terrible. Let's just play another Medallion. We're a bit Medallion flooded. Stock up, that's going to be a whole bunch more resources for us to try and wade through. I think this one is probably done. Turn to Atraxa, obviously a very powerful thing to be doing. We have one more turn. Our opponent just needs one counter spell and they should be able to stop us here. I guess there's some rounds where we get to cast... Ooh, this is intriguing. Let's go for this. I think we're just going to lose to our opponent doing basically anything here. I can't afford to flip this. We might also die to Ral flips if we get unlucky. Alright, they're Force of Willing this. This costs us 1 mana. What is this other guy's other mood? Let's have a little look. Doesn't kill an Atraxa. What are we getting from our sideboard? Storm is 3. Grape Shot will be Storm 4. If this pings for 2, it's still not lethal. Sorry, it's still not able to kill the Atraxa. I think we just have to swing for the fences here. What are we even getting? It doesn't matter. Okay, we died to the Atraxa. Okay, so if our opponent's a counterspell deck and they combo on turn 1 or 2, we lose. Otherwise, we win is kind of how it feels this league. We've got one round to go. We're 2-2. Let's try and put a positive on the board. Okay, this hand is reasonable. We can do some Ral Monsoon Sage goodness. It's a little bit slow, but we've already established that if a deck's going to kill us in the first couple of turns, we're just going to lose the game. And that's not something a mono-red deck is going to have any agency against. We just play out this mountain, and maybe they'll think, just a nice little burn player who's holding back like an end-of-turn lightning bolt. Nothing to see here. They'll probably think Painter, actually. That's what I think most of the time if I see like a mountain pass like this. Because the red Stompy decks tend to play something off their mountain on turn 1. Painter doesn't always. It can just hold up for like Pyroblast and things. It's a Tamiyo. I don't care about Tamiyo. Firebrain Scheme. Okay, I think we're going to go next turn is our plan. So let's Firebrain Scheme first. Have a little look at the top of our deck. Oh, they've seen the Storm of Memories. That's a little bit sad. I'm going to take this Reckless Impulse. And then next turn we can Ral into Reckless Impulse. Or we can Ral into Seething Song. And see where we go from there. It depends. If we think our opponent's doing some combo stuff, we need to try and go faster. If we think our opponent's just like a slow, fair deck, then we need to go slower. And just grind every little bit of resource. And it's not knowing what we're playing against is the problem. Thanks, Tamiyo. It's just in every blue deck, so it's very hard to tell what your opponent's actually trying to accomplish. Like, our opponent could be an Omnitel deck. Or they could be playing Doomsday. Or they could just be playing, Grixis Control or Blue-Black Temper or something fair. Island, Ponder, still don't know what's happening. This flips though, right? So this does put a clock on the game that we have to respect. And this can rebuy counterspells as early as next turn. So not my favourite thing to see. I think I'm actually going to cast the Seething Song first here. Is that true? No, that can't be true. It's this guy. And then I think we're grinding for a turn. Let's get some more cards for next turn. Okay, I think we have enough stuff to get on with. I'd like a little bit more mana. So wouldn't mind drawing like a mountain or having access to a Rite of Flame or Desperate Ritual next turn. Desperate Ritual, especially good with Ral Monsoon Sage. We got Careful Study. Okay, so our opponent is Reanimator. Cool. I do think the ban's made the format of Legacy much better. However, there is a caveat to that. In that, at the moment, I've been playing about 80% combo decks in all the leagues I've played. 4 out of 5 rounds have been combo decks, which doesn't fill me with the most amount of joy. I think we need to find a way to get some control decks and stuff in there. It's like 1 tempo deck and then 4 combo decks, although this league we played against a Death and Taxes deck. That's our non-combo. Alright, they're going to get back this Archon of Cruelty, which is well named. That was cruel. Jeska's Will can go here. We probably need to go this turn. How many counterspells do they have? Ruby Medallion. I think it's worth playing the Medallion out here. We can definitely get caught a little bit. I would like to cast a Seething Song, which means we don't get the resource from here, but we're no longer in a grinding game. We're in a we need to do something game. They can just cut us off here and that's the end of our turn, and they know that. Alright, they let that resolve. That's kind of big, isn't it? So this costs us 4 mana. So we can cast the Wrenn's Resolve first. Oh, are they just F6'd over there? If that's the case, I'm going to add some mana for the cards in your hand. Yes. Oh, they are F6'd. Okay, this game is over. Let's cast a Wish from hand. And a Wish from the sideboard. So we have a Rite of Flame we cast now. And then we cast the big Storm spell. The big hit of the whole fruit right now. I would like some mana, I think, here. Alright, our opponent's scooped up. They see the writing on the wall. We've cast Super Past in Flames. GG's. Okay. Out of the sideboard, what are we looking at here? Probably... no, is it Nile Spellbomb or is it Doughty Voidwalker? Both get answered by the Blast Zone, so I guess we play 2 Blast Zone. And we call it a day there. We can't really interact with our opponent's graveyard very meaningfully. Interesting. We're going to get Thoughtseize and lose our Storm of Memories. Alright, I'm going to give this a whirl. I don't think this is great. But if we don't get Thoughtseized, we're in real good shape, I think. We just need to find a little bit more. Like if we have one Wrenn's Resolve, then all of a sudden this hand is really good. Because we can kind of pop off in a big way. Various counterspells can stop us, and they're going to be very concerned about us hitting 5 mana. If they have some Graveyard Hate, then that's obviously going to shut off the Storm of Memories, which is like one of the best things we have. Underground Sea. No Thoughtseize. Hook it to my veins. We also don't have to worry about Entomb just randomly killing us, which is also a nice one. So next turn we can potentially win the game. How much our opponent's going to allow us to do that, I don't know. Careful study. Are we going to get hit by a big monster? Now, they don't get to choose the monster. It has to be whatever one's in their hand. Oh, it's the best monster. That's not ideal for us, is it? Thoughtseizing us. They're going to take the Storm of Memories. That would make sense to me. 4 cards left in their hand. How many counterspells do we have to contend with? They didn't reanimate this turn. But I guess they didn't want to just hope that they hit the thing because they know that we have a storm spell that can be difficult. So they could maybe find, let's say, a counterspell. But maybe a counterspell is something that can go wrong. Oh, they discarded Seething Song. That is a choice. Come on, deck. Give me something good. A mountain. Do I want our opponent to know that we drew a mountain? Let's cast Rite of Flame. Let's cast Seething Song. They're going to daze us. They have nearly perfect information, so they can probably work out where best to point any interaction they have. This is a good enough spot. Alright, they're pitching 2 cards. Exiling this is kind of annoying. But we got 2 for 2 there. But the Rite of Flame being in our graveyard means it's going to be doing stuff later on. We need to get up to 5 mana for Storm of Memories. So we need like a cost reducer or some more rituals. And we're kind of hoping that our opponent doesn't hit their reanimate. They're just in the reanimate waiting room. Wasteland. Goodbye Blast Zone. A little bit punished for playing that out, but I don't think it matters that much. Wrenn's Resolve or something would be fine here. Not a Wrenn's Resolve. Are we casting Manamorphose just to get deeper into our deck? We can do that next turn though, and it's kind of the same thing because we made our land drop. What more can you ask for? I guess a cost reducer. If we cast this and hit a Ruby Medallion, that looks pretty good. Whereas if we do it next turn, it's not so good. We can see like a Barrogoyf, maybe. I don't care about Barrogoyf. It's just a guy, isn't it? Alright, it's the Undersea Sewers. Some Surveil action, 2 cards on our opponent's hand. They milled over their other copy of Undersea Sewers. Come on, deck. Give me the goods. Jeska's Will. A touch awkward from where we want to be right now. I'm going to cast... Am I going to cast this Manamorphose? I think I have to cast this Manamorphose. We just need to get something together. Desperate Ritual. This takes up... So we go up to 3 mana, 4 mana. We can Jeska's Will. If that finds us... What do we want that to find us? We could Desperate Ritual into Rite of Flame here. If we don't think our opponent's got anything. Okay, so we could go and Wish and then Rite of Flame and then we're not really anywhere. If we do this for... What do I want out of this sideboard? This not being Burning Wish is actually kind of annoying. I don't think our opponent has anything. Okay, we're going to exile the top 3. I think maybe I'm too eager here and we're just going to play ourselves a little bit here. I was trying to fish out some interaction from our opponent a little bit, but maybe we just don't need to do that. But there is this terrifying attraction that I'm not happy about. What did we find? Oh, Desperate Ritual that we can't cast. That's so frustrating. Yep. No, I think I just went too early. And we're going to lose the game now. We just spent all our resources for nothing. Now, obviously, Storm of Memories can do a lot of work. It does require us to cast a bit of stuff, which is where it's a little bit different to the Past in Flames. But let's face it, Past in Flames isn't doing much if we're not casting things. Right, we're going to lose a Storm of Memories here. That has to be the take, surely. Yep, our opponent agrees. This is very much not Burning Wish. I'm really feeling that right now. I think we just tried to go and we didn't need to. Jeska's Will... We'll just sit here, passing the turn. I don't think I've played this one very well. I'm not very good at playing Storm. I will reiterate that as often as possible to make sure you people don't be like, oh, why didn't you do this? The answer is probably because I'm bad at the deck. Okay, we've discarded an Archon of Cruelty. Have you found a reanimation spell? They've played another land out. They're cracking said land. So that suggests a 3-drop. Or, okay, so they've got another copy of Undersea Sewers. So we've gone up to 3 copies of Undercity Sewers. That's interesting. I understand it though, it makes sense. They milled over a Force of Will. Not in the market for that one. So if we just kept our resources, we could have been in a much better spot here. Okay, now I think it's time to Jeska's Will. And exile top 3. Because we can find a cost reducer, we can find Desperate Rituals, we can find a whole bunch of things. A Ruby Medallion and a Burning Wish. I think I would... We only get to play one of these, which is a little bit sad. I will play the Ruby Medallion. It's harder for our opponent to interact with once it's in play. And it's going to make our life a lot easier. So now we can think about our sideboard again. So we might be able to do a little mini Storm of Memories. Right, they drew a land. They could have Hardcast Force of Will with 5 mana though. So we play this land out. This is 2 mana. We could just make some... Just make 8 power and just 2-turn our opponent. That doesn't seem the worst, does it? We don't actually have enough mana for that, do we? Thinking about that one. So we can Inspire Tinkering, and that's until the end of your next turn. So if we cast this, that's our best bet, I think. Just get a bunch more resources, get things going. It is the Force of Will. Okay, well, we did call it they could have that, but I think we had to play into it. I'm surprised they binned off their Force of Will when they did. Unless they just... No, because they had 1 card in hand, right? So it would have been the Force of Will. Oh, don't do it to your opponent. Oh, they got the Reanimates. At least we have permanent information of the cards they do get. They might not be able to combo us immediately. They might also be able to put an Archon of Cruelty into play. They can't reanimate the Archon of Cruelty, thankfully. Again, I don't think I've played this game very well. I think we could have played this game better, for sure. In fact, I know we could have played this game better. But if you want to see people playing good Storm, you want to be looking at people like Brian Cook and Tony Scapone. So Brazen Borrower, Ponder, Underground Sea. So they're casting the Ponder and Consign to Memory. Okay, these are the tools they have. Consign to Memory is obviously very good against Storm. But we can win without it. Part of the problem I'm seeing here is... Oh, they're just going to bounce the Medallion. Yeah, if they bounce the Medallion, they can hit it on the way back down later. That's pretty good. Oh, they drew an Animate Dead somewhere along the lines as well. I missed. Yikes. And now we discard this. And they do 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. So we're dead next turn. What could we possibly draw here? Not a mountain. I think we punted that game in several different places. We were just too eager, which is something that keeps happening. I don't actually think we need these blast zones. Like, are the Ancient Tombs much better though? Not hugely, but I think we'll still have them. Although, what if they have a different plan on the draw? I think we'll just have the blast zones. Come on, deck. Let's finish with a mulligan, I guess. I was going to say let's finish with a high, but let's see what we can do. A single mountain. All right, to Oblivion we go. This one is pretty good though. Ancient Tomb, Medallion, some manas, and then we'll put the rest of it together later. What are we going to put back? Probably Rite of Flame and Mountain. We can splice these at some point, perhaps. Let's get this in before any dazes and things can come online. The cost reducers are a big part of what makes our deck work. So getting this in early, when the only thing they can usually do to interact with it is bouncing it, means that we've got a few turns of this in play. Wasteland. Joke's on you. My Ancient Tomb has done the one thing it actually likes to do. Now, we're going to need another land before we can start casting these. Or maybe not. That's fine. We've got mana. We don't have any card draw effects. We don't have any wishes. Ponder. And they shuffled very quickly off that Ponder. What are we doing? 1 mana. This gives us 2 mana. We need 3 mana to splice this, right? To cast and splice. Okay, I think we're just going to pass again. We could have Burning Wished for something and put it in our hand, but what are we supposed to get there? Another Burning Wish doesn't seem the best. I kind of want to try and do some Storm of Memories. I think that's the best way of pushing through our opponent's things. But I guess the pinch point then becomes the Burning Wish, and they can just hit that. Careful Study. Some card disadvantage for our opponent right there. This is one of the best designed Magic the Gathering cards of all time, in my opinion. They didn't put a monster in the bin. Hallelujah. That's pretty good. A land? Not a land, but a card I do want to play. Let's Reckless Impulse. This can find us land. It even finds us 2 lands, that's fine. It finds us a land that is a little bit awkward. I will play it out because we can draw a land next turn. But we are opening ourselves up to Wasteland. They've already seen 1 Wasteland, though. And they've seen a quarter of their deck. So statistically, they should have another 15 cards before they find 1. Verdant Catacombs. That's okay with me. They've got to have like a bunch of counter magic. So that's the thing that makes sense here. A mountain. I don't hate that for us. So if we splice this, cast and splice additional spells. So splice this. And that's going to cost us red, 1. Are you going to counterspell a Desperate Ritual? This gives us 6 mana if it resolves. Another City Sewers. Are they going to daze here and they just want to get the Surveil in first? And then they can bounce their Surveil land? Feels like what's happening. How many dazes are they going to have on the draw? Probably fewer, but they still want them because they just need any sort of interaction. Black and blue. No. We're getting a Force of Will on our Desperate Ritual. Not bad. We do lose the Storm of Memories forever, but we did convert this Reckless Impulse into a card. So we're not down on cards, whereas our opponent is. Brainstorm is fine. They need to set up their graveyard before they can do anything with it anyway. They can still Careful Study and reanimate this turn. How would we approach what we want to do here? So Rite of Flame, Desperate Ritual. So we've got 3 mana, 4, 5, 6. So we can do these things and then cast the Storm of Memories, where Storm is going to be 4, and try and hit. I guess we'll hit all of these things, so we have to hit well off the impulse. But we could also draw a card that makes this better line for us as well. Here comes a Thoughtseize to ruin our day. Goodbye, Burning Wish. But if this goes into the graveyard, we can draw Storm of Memories and get it back. But I think the obvious pick there is the Burning Wish. The games that we have Ral also feel a lot better than the ones that we don't. That's not really a shocker, is it? So how much is this going to cost us? 2 mana. Do I want to Rite of Flame first? I think we have to Rite of Flame first. And then we can Desperate Ritual and sort of keep things going. A Ral Monsoon Sage. I guess we're not going to keep things going, are we? So we can... We've cast what? 1, 2 spells. So we can flip this. What does the backside of this guy even do? Nothing on the plus, really. -2 draws a card, but then we have to like work him all the way up. So I could Desperate Ritual. If this guy flips, we then get to have Ral on the front and Ral on the back. Is that better or worse than keeping this Desperate Ritual in hand, though? We could start just plussing this guy. That's really interesting. Okay, I'm going to try and flip the Ral. This could be entirely wrong. But I think we've got to swing for the fences when we're out of resources. Tails. Yes, I will flip this Ral. Let me get this Desperate Ritual. And we can cast this guy. Would I like to plus this guy and just keep plussing? Or would I like to attack my opponent's life total a little bit and draw an extra card? That's kind of interesting, isn't it? I don't think we're going to have enough time. I think I'm just going to dome my opponent with a little bit of Ral action. Oh, if you control a blue permanent other than Ral. Oh dear. It's like the Ajani clause, isn't it? But this makes it harder for our opponents to reanimate in theory. Because we can start attacking with this guy. Maybe we're just supposed to plus this. But I don't think it's realistic to expect this to last for 4 turns. Tainted Indulgence. So this is draw 2 cards, then discard a card unless there are 5 or more different mana. So it's going to be a discard. So there's an Attractor in the bin. Do they have the reanimation spell? They do have the reanimation spell. How bad is it for us over there in Attracts a land? Like, we fully deserve to lose this match. I've played horribly throughout. I've had a very long day, and I'm very bad at Storm, which is not the greatest of combinations. I'm imagining we're going to see... So it's Force of Negation, Careful Study, Archon of Cruelty, Swamp. It's a lot of things to be getting on with over there, opponent. A Burning Wish. Guess we look to our sideboard now. Why couldn't they have reanimated them? Maybe we could do something cool. So Force of Negation is just going to counter our Burning Wish, isn't it? Plus the Ral. Let's go for Burning Wish. I suspect this is going to just eat a counterspell. But it gets a careful study out of our opponent's hand, which means they can't Archon of Cruelty into the graveyard, which is kind of a big deal. Okay. We're getting towards a situation where actual Past in Flames would be pretty good. Whereas we don't have actual Past in Flames, we just have the Storm of Memories. So maybe we need a Past in Flames as well for different situations. Because we can't really jumpstart what we're trying to do here. They're coming at the Ral or they're coming at us. Is this Ral going to buy us another turn of the game? It is. I'll take that. Maybe that 2 damage we got in is the difference between us having Lethal Storm at some point and not. Brainstorm, not bad. They can chuck away this Archon of Cruelty that they don't need in hand. Oh. Oh, indeed. We lose everything. So that's going to put us down to 15. Our opponent's got 9 plus 5. So we're going to go to 1 on our opponent's next attack. However, we have an interesting line here. We can put 2 counters on this. We can put a counter on this land. And then we can use this to blow up the Animate Deads. And then we're not dead. But we lose our Ruby Medallion. What a ridiculous game we were in. Okay, we'll blow this up on our opponent's turn. That way they can't play anything. Alright, we blow up the Animate Deads. The creatures go away. And we get to continue playing this game. We shouldn't even be playing this game. We should have just won the previous game by not playing horribly. You're going to Thoughtseize away my Ruby Medallion. You're going to reanimate your Atraxa. They're going to reanimate the Atraxa. How bad is this going to be? Oh, they're reanimating the Archon. Okay. Interesting, they went for the Archon there. Desperate Ritual. That's going to get discarded to the Archon. Like, it doesn't really matter which creature they go for. I guess just taking the 1 card out of our hand is fine. They'd probably do the same if they get the Atraxa back as well. How are we supposed to win the game on 3 mountains and no cards in hand? Spoiler alert, I don't think we are going to win. Wouldn't mind seeing a little bit more of our opponent's deck though, seeing how people are building this. Manamorphose. So you're saying there's no chance. Who doesn't want to see an additional card? They could just force the will. They have 7 cards in hand. This is our last card. Yeah, just deal with it. Yeah, we got wrecked. We lost that last round because we played badly. I'm not good at Storm, but I was also under pressure from what my opponent was doing, and I made some wrong choices. So I think the deck's gone 3-2 this league, and I have gone 2-3. Maybe if we play better, we could have... No, I don't think we win the show and tell matchup either. The people going underneath us just get us. So what did we learn today? We learned that Storm of Memories is real busted, and it's an annoying thing for your opponent to try and interact with. And I think it slots into the shell really well. Now, we learned that we probably do want some sort of Past in Flames out of the sideboard, because there are situations where you just need to get going from nothing. And if you've got a bunch of stuff in your graveyard, Storm of Memories is only good if you've got Storm. So I think this is like a good main deck card that lets you just pop off in a big way. But then you probably do want access to just, okay, I've drawn a Wish effect. Let's go get our Past in Flames. Then I can start casting all those things in my graveyard and win the game. And that was a situation that we could have been in at one point. Now our Wish didn't resolve, I don't think. So it didn't really matter. But I think that's a situation that's going to come up if you play this deck a bunch. Having Wishes instead of Burning Wishes did cost us. So this was obviously great when we were doing Storm of Memories. But I think Storm of Memories was so powerful that we didn't necessarily need to be doing the Wish stuff to go with it. Like the Burning Wish to get stuff when we're in trouble makes a bit more sense than the Wish to just sort of win the game with. So maybe you want to swap these back to 4-1. But I think it was definitely worth trying that out. Although maybe we'll miss it if we don't have as many Wishes, because we did obviously Storm of Memories and then Wish a bunch, and then that was just like, okay, we get to cast our whole sideboard and win the game. I think this feels much stronger than trying to do bonus round stuff. Now, there is a caveat here. Graveyard Hate will tread on your toes a little bit here. But who's having Graveyard Hate main deck and thinking it's useful against the Ruby Storm deck? Like, sure, you can hit their Past in Flames. That's not really how the deck wins most of the time. We won with Ral very easily when it was doing its thing. This card is really good. The Firebrain scheme was fine. Often this is going to be kind of the same as Reckless Impulse. because when this Reckless Impulse hits you a land you can't use, it basically just gets you 1 card, so just digging 2 for 1 mana is pretty fine, but most of the time your Wrenn's Resolves are digging 2 for 1 mana. I don't know how we're supposed to fit in more of this card, because this list seems really tight. We did have some awkward moments with Ancient Tomb where, yeah, we have this and we play our Ruby Medallion, but then we need red pips and it's not great. And it forces us to cast rituals so that we can cast multiple spells, and then it can just expose us to interaction from the opponent. Defense Grid is something you could definitely play in this, which would obviously justify the Ancient Tombs a little bit more. You're taking out some of your stuff to protect yourself, though, and the whole idea of this deck is that we're pretty good into counter magic. And I think that's true. Like, you saw the Jeska counter magic deck. We played horribly and still beat them. The problem is when they're doing combo and counter magic, that's when you get in trouble. Oh, I've just remembered, actually, we only played against 3 combo decks this round, right? Because we played against the Jeska Control and the Death and Taxes. All right, that's the first league I think I've... Actually, it might not be the first league I've played where I didn't play against 4 combo decks, but it feels like it at least. Anyway, back to the topic of this deck. There's definitely something here. This card is really good. Maybe we can run this in some different shells, but this does lend itself so well to what Ruby Storm is trying to do. I don't know if there's another Storm deck that can use this well, but the word Storm is pretty busted. You have to be careful when you put it on cards, and 5 mana, play every card in your graveyard for free feels like super duper Yawgmoth's Will. Like, this was better than Yawgmoth's Will a lot of the time, and basically every time. So I think this card is really good, and I'm looking forward to seeing what actual Storm players will do when they start brewing around it and playing it in decks, because I am not a Storm player, as you have probably deduced by this point if you weren't listening to me saying how bad I am at Storm. But I hope I'm at least entertaining at playing Storm, and that's what we're all here for at the end of the day. Hope you had a good one here. Please remember to like, subscribe, become a Patreon member, please, or YouTube member, just $1 a month. You get to see my videos early. It doesn't really cost you anything, and if enough of you do it, it does really help me out. I keep my rates quite low on that so that people are more likely to do it, because I try to get more people doing it rather than fewer people giving me more money. But you can give me more money if you want. There are higher tiers if you've got spare cash. It's getting towards Christmas, and it doesn't hurt to plug a little bit of extra money in, does it? All right, plugs over and done with, league over and done with, and I hope you had a lovely time watching me stumble around with some Ruby Storm. Thank you so much for watching, and goodbye. If you'd like to support me in the channel, please check out my Patreon. It has a free guide to budget turbo depths, as well as 3 tiers of support. A low-cost one that enters you into my monthly raffle for a free donation deck on the channel, a mid-tier subscription that gives you access to my detailed turbo depths guide that is updated every month, as well as regular articles, and lastly, the higher tier gives you all of the above, as well as a monthly donation deck for my channel. If you're interested in supporting the channel this way, please check out the link in the description.